Hey guys, welcome back to Bearded Lumber. Matthew and I appreciate you tuning in today. We're out here with our Weining motor planer, so that means we're going to put it to work. We got a big job to do today, and hang on, we'll be right back and we'll talk about it. Okay guys, appreciate you hanging in there. What we got today is a job for 600 square feet of TNG red oak. We're going to run it as hardwood flooring, but the customer's going to put it on the ceiling. It's what they wanted, so that's what we're going to do. They didn't want the gap, they didn't want a nickel gap, they didn't want V-groove, so we're going to run it as hardwood flooring. We got two bundles left over there, and we got a bundle here, and we got what we run a little bit yesterday before we quit. And unfortunately, we got two sizes. We got 5.5 to 7.5. So to keep from having to move the machine back and forth, we're separating out the narrow ones as we go through. We'll run all the 7.5s, and we'll come back and we'll run all the 5.5s. We're gonna run them twice, and I'll tell you why. And I probably won't change the reason. Oak, not all oak dries good. It wants to move, wants to bow a little bit, especially if you get in the heart grain of it. So I cut all this at 5/4, and we have found out that 5/4 oak is too thick to run through this machine to get down to 3/4. It's just way too much. So we're running it all at 0.950, just a little 50 thousandths less than an inch, and we're square edging it as we're running it. That gives us two benefits. That gets us to a known thickness, because as best you can saw, you're gonna have some variations. Sometimes it's a sawyer problem. Most of the time it's a wood problem. The wood will move on you a little bit, and one board will be a little thicker, one board will be a little thinner. And then you grab the camera, Matthew. Then you have issues like this. This won't run through the motor planer, guys. There's a knot right here, and you can see it took a bad dive, and there's a knot here. So we'll end up sawing it off here. If you look at the other end, it's the same way. So as we go through this lumber, anything we find like that, we'll trim out, as well as not every board dries straight. So this has got a little bow in it. Now, time we cut it off here and there, that'll probably be good enough to run. If it's any more excessive than this, then we're gonna have to either cut a couple feet off or cut it in the middle. We got to do something to get some of the bow out of it. We could straight line edge it, but if I straight line edge it, it goes from a 7.5. It goes from a 7-inch finish board to a 4-inch finish board, or 5, be a 5-inch finish board. And that's always an option. If you got one that's bowed real bad, just throw it to the side and take it from what's a rough 8-inch board to a rough 6-inch board. I cut them at 6 inches. They dried to 5 3/4. You know, oak draws up. So, like I say, I probably won't change the process on this. We'll probably continue to cut our oak at 5/4 and run it twice. That stack over there has a guaranteed dimension of 950 or less. So when we run it the second time, we can pick the board up, look at both sides, see how the first cut went, pick the best side, run it face down with our tongue and groove knives, and it's also parallel because we've already straight line edged it with the motor planer. So it should make running the second pass a whole lot easier. Pine, pine you can hog off. I wouldn't hog off 1 1/4 inch, but cutting at 1 1/8 inch, it will take it down to 3/4, no problem. But this oak is extremely hard. We run a bunch of white oak yesterday, basically just S4S'd it down to 950, put it back over in inventory, and we're going to do the same thing with this. We're going to run it all, and then we'll pull out what we need to run the 600 feet for that order. But the rest of it will be looking like that pile. Matthew can show you this pile. This is a good looking pile of red oak. Not every board's clear on both sides by any means, but it is a guaranteed thickness of 0.950. So when we go run it second time, it's good to go. We'll pick this board up, flip it over, look for the best side, most likely to come the clearest, and we'll run that side face down through the machine. Plus we've already squared the edges, took what little bow was out of it. We took it down to just slightly under a 7.5, and when we run it again, we'll run it all the way down to a 7-inch board. So I hope that helps you understand the process of what we're doing and why we're doing it. As you can see, this is not a super high grade. I wouldn't use it for flooring, but it'll be beautiful on walls or ceiling with all the knots and the character. But for floor grade, it's definitely got to be better. You get a lot of this in the red oak in the south, especially if a tree's dying, but I think it's gorgeous. So, anything else we missing on this, Matthew?
Not that I know of offhand.
Turn around here, the sun's horrible. There we go. If I can't see myself in the camera, I know you can't see me. So, right now we're set up for S4S. We got our side cutters, straight side cutters, hog head on the front, and these insert carbides in the bottom head and the top head. We're currently set for 5.5 inches wide. Whoop. We just run some 3/4 boards, so we got to change the thickness on it and change the width. But since we got our numbers dialed in like supposed to, it's a simple fact of loosening the lock, reading the gauge, rolling it out. Same thing here, loosen the lock, roll it out to the number you want, and run it. I'm overjoyed with how easy the machine is to change settings. We were overwhelmed when we went to school because we'd never seen any of this, but after running it, it's becoming more and more user-friendly. So, enough talking. Unfortunately, it's probably a little time lapse of running all this through. We ain't gonna show you all of it because it's gonna take too long, but we get to do it in tongue and groove. We'll come back and talk about the setup and changing knives and everything. So let's get to it. Let's make some sawdust, guys. We're ready to run these 6/8 boards now. We're gonna run them at 5.5 wide and 950 on the thickness. And this will be the first pass of 2. We went ahead and run all the wide boards, got them out of our way. As we go through these, as I stacked them over here, and Matthew too, we noticed a lot of them was bowed. So if you see something go back out the door of the sawhorses, those are 2 bowed to try to straighten. We're just gonna run them through the edger and probably make 4-inch boards out of them. I'd rather do that than cut them in half and have a bunch of half pieces to deal with. You always need small pieces for trim, different things. So we'll just make 4s out of them, and Matthew's getting ready to set up a time lapse, so we'll just run through this quick as we can. So hang on, we'll be right back. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed that. If you watched me, I was picking up every board, and I had a flat board on the table, and I'd lay it on it and see which way the crown was. And if it was a little bit, you know, 1/4 inch or so, I'll go ahead and run it. And we run it with the crown out, and I prefer to run it with the crown up. So sometimes I'd have to flip them over. Anything more than about a 1/4 inch bow, we set it outside. There was probably 30 of those. Matthew picked them up and set them over here. Tomorrow we're going to edge those down to probably 4.5, 4 1/4, and then we'll run them again. And one day they'll either be 4-inch S4S or maybe 3.5, 3 3/4 tongue and groove. But we got all the customers' wood here. It's ready to run. T&G. It's sitting here at 5.5, right? Yeah, it's 5.5 inches wide, 950 thousandths thick. The goal tomorrow is to run it at 750 thousandths, 3/4 of an inch, at 5 inches wide. And that won't be enough. Some of the 8s that we cut down to 7.5, we'll run those to finish out the order. Now, let's talk about our machine. Works great. Any issues? Occasionally you get a board that's got a weird knot or a bad crown. It wouldn't feed. These small boards, we didn't have any. But the wider boards, we had a few that we had to back up, maybe cut a section off or turn it over and run it again. You just run into that when your boards are not pretty. And these weren't pretty, trust me. They were pretty gnarly. But we're done for the day. It's only 3 o'clock, but our kiln is been turned off and cooled off, and we got to get it switched. So we're going to spend the afternoon switching the kiln. So before we put this thing to bed, Matthew and I spent countless hours, and we videoed some of it, with sanders, polishers, wire brushes, sandpaper, sanding all the funk off this thing to get it nice and clean. And it can rust overnight, especially in a damp environment. So we're going to use this product. It's a wax lit in an aerosol. It's the same thing we use as a liquid that we occasionally pump. It comes out, goes across the table, keeps it lubricated. But this keeps it from corrosion. So we're going to spray a little bit on it. It don't have to be a thick coat. It's kind of like WD for woodworking, but it don't stain your wood. So that'll be the last thing we do today. We'll pick this up in the morning, guys. We got to change side heads out, put our tongue and groove knives in. We'll try to show you a little bit of that. And that's going to do it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll be right back. Okay guys, welcome back. It's the next day for us. Went ahead and edged and run those narrow boards. Now we've got our tongue and groove heads. Well, actually I took the 4-inch S4S heads off. We got our tongue and groove heads here. The only problem with these, we got the wrong knives in them. These are actually tongue and groove V-groove. And we're going to replace it with tongue and groove hardwood flooring. So we're going to take these out. These heads, you got 2 screws that go into your gib to lock it, and there's actually a screw in the insert carbide backer plate. You got to get it out. There we go. That screw. And there's your insert carbide backer. We'll clean these up, put them back in the container, and reinstall the other ones. So we won't bore you with that. Let's get all this apart, and we'll be right back. Okay, guys. I went ahead and did the first head without you. Can you see the difference versus tongue and groove V-groove? This one's already been installed with the correct rotation. The gibs, the screws, and the backers are all in there like they're supposed to be. They're all tight. Went ahead, put it up on our setup gauge, measured the half circle. It's 2.713. So this head is done, ready to install. Now, that's called the outboard head. This is the inboard head. So let's take it apart. Like I said, these insert backers have a screw hole right here. And that's what holds your backer in place while you're setting everything up. Pretty smooth design.
I went with the KISS method.
Yeah. Get this Allen screw out. I think that's a 2.5 mil. The other one you need is a 4 mil. You got 2 screws. This is called your gib. Loosen these set screws up. There we go. Yes, you should be wearing gloves, but no, I can't feel real good with them on. So there's our first insert carbide, and that's run, I should have kept count how many linear feet, a bunch. And here's our insert backer, looks fine. Gib, just a little cleanup before we install it. And I'll take a look at the pocket, make sure the pocket don't need too much cleaning. I'm gonna go ahead and break the other side loose. It's tight. Okay. Now these heads, you have a open side, and then you have a side with a little set screw. That keeps your backer and your carbide and your gib all centered. So if you don't want it to fall apart, make sure that screw side is down. If you set it over here with the screw side up, they'll just fall out the floor on you. Anybody want to guess how I know? There we go. And there's the other set out. Good time to inspect them. Make sure no chips, cracks, or anything. They look excellent. Excellent. Drop it. Did we run any hardwood, Matthew, or was it all pine?
We ran some sweet gum.
Yeah, we did. We run some sweet gum with this, and it's a hard wood. So I'm very pleased with the look of that. So give me just a minute to go through here and clean this up. I won't bore you with the cleaning process. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, we're back. We've got our inboard head. The outboard head, it don't have an upside down, but this is your alignment screws. So we'll call that, down. So it's actually upside down, where this one, they're on the bottom, because this head you need to run. If you look at the knife, this is your face side and this is your wall side or floor, because this is the face cut where the two tongue and grooves will meet, and this is actually a little bit taller. It's a trash gap or a nickel gap, however way you want to look at it. But this is your face and this is your floor. So you insert your backer. It's got a groove. It just slides in and it slides all the way back against that pin. You take our little 2.5 millimeter Allen screw, put it in here. I just run it up snug, don't over tighten it just yet. Then we take our insert carbide, and it has a groove that corresponds to the groove in the gib. So it goes here, and your gib goes right there with it, just like that. Now I'm gonna gently push back until they hit that stop. I'll hold it with one hand while I gently tighten the Allen screws with the other one. There we go. I just got it snugged up. I'll put it on the table and really tighten it up in a minute. So that's the first one. Now let's get our second one. Here's our gib, our insert backer. It slides in. Let's see if I can get it turn over this way. There we go. It slides in. Take our Allen bolt. Okay. Oh, get in there. Can't tell it's cold this morning. Okay, that's lightly snugged up. Here's our insert carbide and our gib. You can see the groove. It's got a little raised groove right there. That holds the insert carbide. I'm gonna hold them both back against our stop. Lightly tighten them up. Okay, now I'll get you up here where you can see. Oh, it works easier for me to get it off on the side of the table where I can hold it and put some good tension on it. Okay. Now, those are tight. Now let's tighten the backers. Here, that's tight. And that was tight. Okay, that head is fully assembled. Now we're going to use our setup stand. Let me raise you up here where you can see. Okay guys, let's talk about our setup stand. It's a very important tool because I need to know, to help with the setup, I need to know the half radius of this knife. Well, there's no way to...
That's the radius.
Well,
diameter is all across.
There you go. I need to know the half diameter of it. And this tool allows us to do it. What you need to do is you raise it all the way up. This stop is pre-calibrated to be dead center of the post. So I'll turn on my caliper. I'll zero it. I will come down. The half diameter of that post is 0.75. So it's accurate. Now, I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to be measuring, if you can see, I'm going to be measuring against this face, because this is our finished face. Okay. That is 2.462. 2.461. 2.462 is our measurement. So we'll take our Sharpie and right on the side of it, 2.462. And we'll bake that number into our setup, and that should get us right close to where we need to be. Go ahead and turn this off. Now, these heads, are engineered by Weining, an excellent corporation. Been doing this for many years. You asked, some of you probably already thought, how do you set your elevation? The elevation is baked into this head. And I say baked because it's built into it. It's built into the way the knives are made. It's built into the height of the head. It's built into this shoulder that's on the head, as well as when we set the machine up. Basically, the way it's set up is we'll take the spindle, drop a 10 millimeter spacer on there, take a straight edge and measure across the deck to that 10 millimeter spacer until we get it flat. Take the spacer off, drop this head on, and that head should be within 1/1000th of where it needs to be up and down. Okay? That's why I say the measurements is baked in. If you do what you're supposed to, set your machine up right, it should run a good part first pass. It may need just a little tweak. So we got plenty to do, so we're going to quit talking about setup today. I promise we'll do an in-depth video of what the machine is, what the parts are, what they do, and then try to go into an in-depth video on setting one up, because trust me, before I bought the machine, and more so after, I looked for these videos. They're not out there. A lot of guys own them. This particular machine and up are normally owned by businesses, big businesses, and big business don't do YouTube. Small business like Matthew and I, we do YouTube. We enjoy it. So there's not a lot out there, and we hope to put something out there to help people out in the future. So enough said. Let's get this set up and do what we're here to do today, and that's make some tongue and groove. Okay guys, sorry about the light. It's that time of day. I promise we got some doors to build here and it'll make filming better, but for today we're gonna deal with it. We went ahead and run all those small boards. Now we stepped up to the 5-inch boards. These are for the customer. And let me tell you, it is some pretty stuff. The tongue and groove fits together perfectly. Let's see here, separate it. You couldn't ask no better than that. That's what we're looking for. Like I say, we just run about 3.5-inch boards. We'll use them on a personal project here. You'll see that in another day. But this, I'm happy with it. This is a number 1, and this is, of course, not a number 1. And this I'd use on the floor, this I wouldn't. But we're building a ceiling, so number 1, 2, 3 don't matter. Some of these are going to be what we call fugly, but they're going to be ugly, but they're beautiful on a ceiling. I wouldn't be able to use them on the floor, but with all the knots and the wormholes and everything, they're going to be gorgeous. We're going to unfortunately set you on a time lapse, so we got to get these run, get them out of here. The customer's waiting on them, so let's make some noise. Thanks, guys. Okay guys, sorry about the long time lapse, but it takes a while to run all these boards. We finished up the customer's order. We didn't film it, but somewhere through there we had to go change a set of knives. Unfortunately, our bottom cutter head had gotten a chip, so we just basically flipped them knives over, and I mean that's a smooth finish now, but it happens. The $150 set of knives, we used half of them, used one side. So anyway, what did we learn? We took a 7.5 inch board and made a 7-inch face out of it, and that's from this lip to this lip. That's 7 inches of usable space. If our board was not exactly 7.5 inches, we run into problems, and that's what these amounted to. It either didn't get a good tongue or it didn't get a good groove, and the way we could have fixed that was either edge the boards before we S4S'd them the first time, or afterward edged them down just a little smaller, make 5 or 6 inch wide boards. So we're learning. Overall, the finish is excellent. The fitment is great. The wood was some lesser quality stuff. The customer knew that to start with. The face is beautiful. The back on most of them, you know, is missed a little bit, but you only see one side. And when you stack these, Matthew stacked them all. These are groove to groove, and these are tongue to tongue, so they don't interlock and break the tongue out of them. So one board's pretty face up, the next one's face down. So you gotta kind of go with that. The machine worked flawlessly. We're getting better at setting our adjustments to make it run the way we want it to run. Had very few hang-ups. Every now and then you get a board that had a weird grain or something that might stop you. But I can't say enough about the Weining motor planer. It is a awesome machine. Actually had a gentleman come by that does hardwood flooring. He's a few years older than I am, and he asked me about running some white oak for one of his jobs. And we'd be glad to do it. So he was happy with the fit and finish of it, and he does very expensive high-end floors for a living. So I felt good about his approval. So, anything else, Matthew? Somebody says you need to talk more.
Yeah, people keep saying that. But somebody's got to run the camera and make him stop talking every once in a while.
But, guys, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you following along. It's a year-long journey of us buying and getting ready to run this machine, and we're just overjoyed to have it running. Got work lined up for it. And that's all you can ask for if you buy a piece of machinery, a piece of equipment, is to have work for it to do. And we got work for it to do. There'll be many more videos. As I become more confident in the setup and understanding it in my brain more, we'll start teaching more about it, because there's no videos out there. And I'm hoping to help the next person that's me looking to buy one of these and can't find any YouTube videos out there to help them understand. I mean, you can go to school. We went to school, and I recommend you go to school. But school's quick, it's over, and Matthew and I had to go back and read the book because we forgot so much of what they taught. Hands-on and a video, and I'm an audio video type learner anyway. I learn more from somebody telling me, talking me through it, versus trying to read a book. That's just me. So that's going to do it. As always, guys, we greatly appreciate you watching. If you're not subscribed, take the opportunity to subscribe to Bearded Lumber. We have videos come out every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Matthew and my son-in-law Solomon work hard on these videos, and I greatly appreciate it. But they come out at 5 o'clock every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. That's going to do it. We're going to get out of here. It's Friday. Matthew's got somewhere to go. We worked through lunch. I ain't even had lunch. It's time to eat a bite. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you back at the mill.
Thank you for watching. Here's a video selection and a playlist suggestion. Click here to subscribe for more great content.
I'll see you at the mill.